The three most common injuries in breakdancing are wrists, your groin, and your shoulders. Why does it happen? Because weak things break. So if you have weak muscles, do something about it. Bad technique with muscles pushed beyond their strength and flexibility limits lead to injury. Bad technique is hard to fix when you're learning new moves, but you can fix weak and inflexible muscles to minimize the risk. Number one, your wrists. How do they get injured? You went from never supporting your body weight in your previous non-breakdancing life to fully supporting your body weight with your wrists. You put too much weight too soon for your wrists. Flexibility can be a factor if you are hyperextending whenever you place your wrists on the ground. So you need to be able to hold your wrists flat. How do you know they are injured? It hurts anytime you put weight on them or bend them. I already injured them. What do? Do nothing that makes them hurt. Do nothing that aggravates them. Limit the weight and range of motion when you feel pain. Start the strengthening process slowly. Here's some exercises to do. In the beginning of the injury, do lots of light repetitions daily, around 40. You're trying to get the muscle pumped up with blood. As the wrists get stronger, do heavier weight and more range of motion, but lower the repetition range to about 20 as the weight goes up. The goal in the beginning is to pump the injured area with blood to speed up healing, then start strengthening the muscles. How do you make sure this never happens? So you want to avoid this, what do you need to do? Well, I explain how to strengthen your wrists in this video, and I also explain how to stretch your wrists. So watch it, because breakdancers treat their wrists like feet. We spend a lot of time on our hands. Get used to it, or you're not going to have much of a breakdancing career. You need to be strong enough to handle your body weight on your wrists. Non-negotiable for breakdancers. We spend all day long on our hands. Groin muscles, here's just a quick picture to make sure we're talking about the same muscles. They're basically your inner thigh muscles. How do they get injured? Usually in breakdancing, it's from learning the windmill. Essentially, it's any tight contractions from quick accelerations, like learning windmill, and the weak inner thigh muscles just break. They can't take it. So whenever you bring your leg towards your body very quickly, it could happen. And we do that all day long. We actually do it in top rock as well. How do you know they're injured? It's a simple test. If it hurts to push down, it's torn. If it hurts to bring your leg towards your body, it's torn. I already injured it. What do? Again, do nothing that aggravates it or makes it hurt. No power moves, no top rock. If it's a small tear, it can heal as fast as 2 weeks to a month, as long as you don't make it worse. Leave it alone, strengthen it, don't stretch it. There's some exercises that are good for rehab: wide squats and squats to the side. But really the best, if you do injure it, is Thigh Master or this girly gym machine. But it's actually very, very helpful for rehab. Probably the only time I ever use that machine, because it's a really good trainer as well for suspended splits. If you want to avoid this, what do? The answer is suspended splits. If you can hold your body with your inner thigh muscles, they're plenty strong. And the stronger they get, the more flexible you'll become as well. It gets your groin muscle able to handle your body weight, so start stretching, get stronger. I explained the basics here, but essentially for people that think that they can't become flexible for a genetic reason or whatever their lame excuse is, if you can get stronger, you can get flexible. So that's how it works. Okay, shoulders. Very, very common, right? We went over wrists, groin, and now shoulders. Pretty much every b-boy has had all of these injuries or one of them. I'd be amazed if someone has had 0. I'd like to meet them and want to know how they train. So your shoulders, how do they get injured? I have to make some stereotypes about shoulders and how they get injured because they are used so much in breakdancing, and the shoulders are very flexible. They can move around all over. So there are many ways to damage them. I think most of the time it's a combo of getting your shoulders at its maximum range of flexibility. So as an example, really sticking your shoulder back like past your ear. And when it's at its maximum range of flexibility, usually it's also at its weakest. So again, think of suspended splits when your legs are that wide open, your inner thigh muscles are at their weakest. It's a great opportunity for them to snap. Shoulders no different, all the muscles work in that same principle. So when the muscle's at its maximum range of flexibility, it's usually its weakest. And then if you add some bad technique, so learning something like air flare, that's probably a recipe for disaster if you have those two strikes. And then you're gonna add a third strike, which is bad technique. So if you're learning something new, be strong, be flexible, minimize the risk. It's just not effective to get injured because then you can't train. It's definitely a time saver if you spend a month or two just to get the muscle strong. Then you can go train unhindered, unencumbered, and just focus on technique. As an example, air chairs, it's very easy to overextend your shoulder while you're developing the strength and the flexibility to hold yourself there. So as an example, the most common injury I'm guessing for breakdancers is rotator cuff. It's a very weak muscle. Practically no one trains this until they hurt their rotator cuff. I never did these types of rotator cuff exercises until I tore my rotator cuff. Yeah, everybody waits till they tear the rotator cuff to train it, me included. How do you know the shoulder's injured? Assuming it's the rotator cuff, the test is a twisting motion. If any of these hurt you, you solved half the problem by identifying it. I already injured it. What do? There are lots of exercises for rotator cuff rehabilitation. This is what I have used and use currently as prevention. So I do this every week as my baseline training for rotator cuff because I just got so sick and tired of training it, making it feel better, being good for about 6 months. The muscle gets weak. I do some lame tweak to my shoulder, boom, I hurt it again. I have to take a little bit of time off, usually a couple weeks, get it strong again, boom. So now I just do rotator cuff every week. So I'm just, after a while of training, you just learn the prevention is worth the time. And if that means, some weeks I don't even get to do breakdancing because I'm just doing all my prevention work, make sure that I'm strong and flexible, it's worth it because when you do practice, it's going to be a lot more efficient. So for rehab, the focus is slow, controlled movements to put blood into the muscle. Even when the rotator cuff is healthy, you can't move a lot of weight. So anything above 20 pounds per dumbbell is too much. I use 5 to 7 pounds right now. If you want to avoid this, what do? Shoulder strength is fundamental for most breakdancing moves. So weekly shoulder strength training should be part of your training. I have a video that shows breakdancing specific strength training, and I have one for shoulder flexibility. Shoulder flexibility depends what moves you're learning. For some moves, you don't need it. For other ones, it's mandatory. For example, handstand, you just need to be able to get biceps by your ear. That's all the flexibility. Most people, they can do that, but to get your arm behind your ear, you're gonna have to definitely train that. To do air chair, you're gonna have to train that. In conclusion, breakdancing injuries are usually caused by a combination of bad technique, weak muscles, and poor flexibility. You can fix muscle flexibility and weakness safely, then you can focus on learning the proper technique and not be handicapped by a weak and inflexible muscle. Lastly, when you're injured, focus on what you can do and not what you can't do. If you dwell on the few things that you can't do because of your injury, you got the wrong attitude. Take it as an opportunity to increase some other deficiency in your breakdancing training. Most of your breakdancing problems are solved with proper training, so put in the work. Your body is your tool in breakdancing. It needs to be strong, needs to be flexible. Then you can teach it and learn the technique. Keep training.